Many of us are gearing up for the upcoming Canadian federal elections on October 21st. For some of us, this may just be another election with a bunch of talking heads, but for others, this can be an important chance to generate change for important issues such as climate change. One of the topics you may not be thinking of, but many Canadians are, is the rise of the far right in Canada. According to a recent poll conducted by Main Street Research, a Canadian market research and polling firm, 58.3% of respondents think that domestic alt-right groups are the largest threat to our national security. That's a lot. Since the Liberal Party won the last federal election in 2015, there has been an increase in anti-immigrant, white supremacist organization and activity across our nation. These groups have effectively twisted numbers and facts about migrants, refugees, and immigration. Now, before I go into details on our politicians, let's take a look at the issue of the rise of the far right in Canada. So what have been some recent issues attributable to the far right in Canada? Both the 2017 Quebec City mosque shooting and the 2018 Toronto van attack can be attributed to members of the far right. But just how is the far right gaining traction in Canada? The far right is gaining traction through online chat rooms. According to an investigation released earlier this year, 150,000 chat room messages exposed just how the far right are buying weapons and intending to influence political parties. This investigation was released by the Globe and Mail. Nazism, the Holocaust, anti-immigration, Islamophobia, sexism, and racism are some of the topics that have been discussed on these chat room messages. But just who are some of these people that are taking part in these chat room messages? Some of those who have been uncovered within this investigation include a school teacher, soldiers, and tradesmen. So why should we worry about the far right and the upcoming federal election? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Voters should consider this an important issue as associations to the far right have been noticed within two political parties running for the federal election. These parties are both the People's Party of Canada and the Conservative Party of Canada. First, we'll look at Andrew Scheer, the leader of the Conservative Party. His ties to the far right have been promoted by the Liberal Party and have said to be a tactic used to tarnish the image of the Conservatives. But just what are some of these ties? Scheer has ties to far-right media outlet Rebel Media. The Rebel has been sympathetic of white nationalists in coverage of the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. This coverage was conducted by Faith Goldy, a white nationalist, former Rebel Media journalist, and former mayoral candidate for Toronto. For those who may not remember the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, this is when tiki torches began being associated with neo-Nazis.
Jews will not replace us! Jews will not replace us! Jews will not replace us! Blood and soil! Blood and soil! Blood and soil! Blood and soil!
Scheer appeared on Goldy's show before he won the nomination of Conservative leader. Despite the Liberals reminding voters of the former ties between Scheer and Goldy, Scheer has continuously denied these ties with Goldy, and he has said he would not grant interviews to the Rebel unless they change their editorial direction. Despite this, Scheer's campaign manager, Hamish Marshall, has had direct connections with the Rebel, as he was listed as a director on the company's federal incorporation records. 2 years ago, Marshall's name was removed from the list of directors of Rebel News Media stated on the federal government's online registry of corporate information. So what are some other examples? Georgianne Burke is another example. She is Scheer's campaign outreach chair and was a member of many extreme anti-Muslim groups on Facebook, stating that she was only a part of these groups for information purposes. After a story was released by Anti-Racist Canada, naming her as a member of these groups, such as the Worldwide Coalition Against Muslims, which critics name as anti-Muslim and anti-Semitic, Burke left some of these groups. Stephen Taylor, digital director for the Scheer campaign, made a post on the alt-right Meta Canada subreddit. In 2016, he provided additional information to members of the subreddit who were emailing complaints to the CBC Ombudsman. Taylor said it was a while since he took part in the subreddit, but that he wasn't fully aware of the increasingly alt-right nature of the subreddit and that he doesn't want any association with the alt-right. Taylor also said that he doesn't plan to interact with the subreddit in the future. In light of all this, Scheer is quite forgiving, stating that if a Conservative candidate has made a racist or homophobic comment or comments in the past, he will stand by the candidate as long as they apologize and take responsibility for those comments. So let's move on now to Maxime Bernier. He's the leader of the People's Party of Canada. The People's Party formed after Bernier left the Conservative Party of Canada for not winning nomination of leader. To many Torontonians, you may recognize his face plastered on billboards across the city with the line saying, "Say no to mass immigration," even placed in heavily immigrant-populated parts of the city. Bernier has had various photo ops with members of the far right. During this year's Calgary Stampede, Bernier posted in photos with members of the Northern Guard. The Northern Guard is a violent anti-immigrant group created by members that split from the white nationalist group, the Soldiers of Odin. Bernier said that he did not know who these men were, despite all of the members having the group logo on their vest. One of the members of the Northern Guard publicly insisted that the Northern Guard is not a hate group. However, the group's spokesperson for Ontario and Quebec told Vice News the group is looking to commence armed Minutemen-styled patrols of the border towns to track down Haitians who want to enter Canada. "Our members are ready," he told Vice News. Paul Fromm was titled one of Canada's most notorious white supremacists by the National Post, with various associations to neo-Nazi organizations. Fromm is also a fan of the People's Party of Canada, as seen on his website. Bernier posed next to Fromm in a photo op. In Fromm's support for the party, he wrote on his website next to the photo that the People's Party of Canada immigration platform really offers us a start at regaining control of our borders. So not only has Bernier posed with members of the far right, but he's also allowed these members into his campaign. Sean Walker worked as an Ontario organizer for the People's Party until he was fired for being recognized as an active white supremacist. Walker was chairman and CEO of neo-Nazi organization, the National Alliance in the United States. He led the National Alliance for roughly a year until July 2006, when he was arrested, charged, and ultimately convicted for his part in a violent hate crime beatings carried out in hopes of starting a race war. In early days of the party, as a result of criticism, the People's Party of Canada required all Writing Association members to sign a vow. This vow pledged that they had done or said nothing in the past and will do nothing or say nothing in the future that would embarrass the party. People's Party of Canada spokesperson Joanne Meny said Walker did not disclose the information upon signing the vow, and that the People's Party background check only found results in Canada and not the US. Despite this, Bernier followed Walker's now private Twitter account, where Walker had retweeted white nationalist and anti-Semitic comments. What are some other names? Nicola Hansen is another name, a former organizer of the party in Ontario. She posted on Twitter in December 2017 that Islam is not Canadian. Canada was founded by Christianity. They do not assimilate because they don't want to. They want to take Canada and every non-Muslim country and kill non-converters, she tweeted in December 2017. Hansen told the Star that she had been baited into making those comments and that she has nothing against Islam. In another email, Hansen said she didn't write the anti-Islam tweet at all, explaining instead that her account had been hacked without her consent. The list goes on for problematic members of the People's Party, such as Emile Sosnam, elected to the executive of the People's Party of Canada's Thornhill Riding Association, who posted racist and anti-Semitic comments. Joanne Dinell, an executive on the People's Party of Canada's association in the Montreal area riding of Pierrefonds Dollard, posted an anti-Muslim comment using a Twitter handle that has since been deleted. Racists are not welcome in this party, Bernier told Montreal radio station CJAD in December 2018. Despite stating so, they keep gravitating toward his party. Bernier has tried to separate himself and his party from the alt-right. But these findings suggest that those who hold white nationalist and far-right views see the People's Party as a catalyst to push far-right politics into the mainstream. The same goes for the Conservatives. While Scheer may be more forgiving of those with racist or homophobic comments, he has tried to defer comments linking him to the alt-right. While many important topics are on the table for this upcoming election, weigh the option of what dangers and rhetoric some parties could further ignite, whether it's intentional or not.